An aspiring young musician wishing to join the band at her high school contemplates a slew of options. Courses are not only offered in brass and other marching instruments, but in those of elusive and percussive nature, such as the vibraphone or timpani. If those are not her forte, the orchestra program supports various stringed instruments. That is, all except for one. The guitar has always been that sort of third wheel instrument, if you know what I mean. Especially in music education, like the band program at your high school, it's really got only one place, and that's the place I played in the jazz band. So what gives? Why are all these formal music teachers so anti-guitar? And I mean, it is a teacher's problem. What, you don't believe me? Look, I did the research. I wrote a formal essay on the topic. I know my stuff. According to a nationwide survey, music programs including the guitar are a small minority, with a mere 19% offering courses that include the instrument. That's a quote from my essay, quoting a master's degree thesis, quoting statistics from the U.S. Department of Education. Plus, I'm a guitarist myself. I played this bad boy in the jazz band at my high school. I have friends who play the guitar, who I went out of my way to interview. You should listen to me when I say the instrument's disenfranchised in the formal music scene. So back to the main question, why? I mean, there's a simple answer, that being its historical association with all that filthy rock and pop music. Okay, that answer kind of makes sense, considering the social establishment's ever-encroaching role in just about everything. But is it really a fair judgment? Despite its deep ties to popular music, to teenage culture, and to the broader counterculture, what is the guitar? At the end of the day, it's just an instrument, a popular instrument. And in this case, I don't mean popular as in Cardi B or Bruno Mars. I mean, a lot of people play it, and it's ingrained in the collective consciousness, just as an instrument, which like any other can be played in most musical settings. Metal, rock, blues, country, jazz, even classical. Alright, so I know what you're probably thinking. Who even cares? This is the way it's been for a long time. The guitar's been banished to the realm of the unrefined masses ever since the 50s, when Elvis popularized rock and roll. So what if it's got no place in band class? Not like it's illegal to play or something. People can and do become successful musicians practicing it on their own time or by taking private lessons. Stevie Ray Vaughan, Jimi Hendrix, Eric Clapton, they never even learned to read notes and set a standard music that many guitarists follow to this day. We are self-taught, developing our musical identities by ear. Don't we have more important things to deal with than fostering an unholy matrimony between this and this?
Good guess, but actually no.
Let's talk about our friend the high school band director. Now you may think their program is a safe symbol of musical tradition, but what about all this news of tax cuts to the arts? What about that budget? Our president's been trying to cut more from education each year in office, and regardless of your political opinions, it's safe to say art programs are usually the first on the chopping block when funding goes south. School bands are expensive to maintain and vulnerable. Their survival depends not only on the colossal sums of money being granted to them by the federal government, but on what cut of that school money they're actually getting. In other words, popular demand. So what's the situation regarding the popularity of these programs? It's not good. Over the last couple of decades, it has sharply decreased. Only now, with the advent of reform to these conservative programs, has enrollment seen a slight increase. What force is responsible for breathing some life into these decaying programs? Popular music. And I seem to recall one specific instrument being very ingrained in popular music. That's right. Now, there's been a lot of research on implementing the guitar into school programs, and according to my research, there's a big controversy between formal and informal teaching methods. Informal teaching is how a lot of private guitar instructors teach. You inspire your students, focusing on what they want to play. The hope is that they practice more and are more engaged. For example, this one guy, Roskansky, he taught middle school students with the end goal of them covering a song. At first, he went the classical route, teaching via notes, theory, and assignments. But what he found later was that instead of forcing learning material, it proved far more effective to let children decide what they wanted to play. Obviously, younger children have smaller attention spans and can cope with less complex material, but it proves a point. Motivation is key. But there's another side to this. The second of these methods is the formal one. Inspiring a passionate musician is one thing, but without a focus on fundamentals, the practice they do get is often inefficient. The classical guitar program at Addison Trail Public High School is a great example of a formal guitar program. In this high school class, note reading and theory were heavily emphasized, and popular music was all but abandoned. Still, the class seemed to effectively grow Addison Trail's music program. To quote, "This approach to building fundamental skills has helped grow participation in guitar. Many of these students are non-BCO, band, choir, orchestra students, who still love music, but for various reasons did not join the music program in grade school or middle school." On one hand, teaching informally mirrors a lot of the popular music traditions guitarists have been taught, but on the other hand, shouldn't student guitarists like me take advantage of the musical opportunities given to my peers, the band kids? You can't just compromise the age-old traditions of notation and theory just because a few dead blues buffs threw them out the window in the 60s. The decision is important because it involves the history of the guitar and the future of the band. As the great Spanish guitarist and composer Andres Segovia put it, "My achievement was not to prevent the guitar from being a folkloric instrument, but to allow it to assume an extended destiny." What, do you still not care? Still don't trust me? What, has Adam Neely set a standard of musical professionalism that I'm just not grasping? So by employing a second opinion, you can make yourself seem more credible. I never thought of that. Hey! Okay, I think I'm going to start off with some basic questions. Your name?
Michael Ziff.
And how long have you been playing guitar?
I've been playing guitar for about 7 or 8 years.
From your junior in high school. So, what's your favorite kind of music to listen to? Who do you look to for inspiration? Guitar.
I'd say the person I look to the most for inspiration in terms of musician would probably be John Mayer, because he's the closest thing now in 2019 that I could get to Stevie Ray Vaughan or Jimi Hendrix, anybody like that, because I think he's probably a better guitarist than Stevie Ray Vaughan. Stevie Ray Vaughan did more for blues, the guitar and rock and roll and all that, but John Mayer is the other player.
Yeah, I get that. So what's been the style you've been taught, teaching style over your 7 years of
I wasn't really taught the style of playing. I was mainly taught the basics and everything.
like your chords and stuff?
Yeah, I learned all that stuff first, all the basic chords, how to read music. I learned all that first, and now I'm learning all the really in-depth music theory stuff. Pretty much how to write songs is what I'm learning now. Not being taught how to be creative or how to play a style, I'm just being taught how to put myself to this style.
Now, is that fun or is it more? Okay.
I mean, it can be fun, yeah, but most of it is work because you've got to get all the boring stuff down before you can do all the fun things that all famous musicians do.
But your main core inspiration comes from, just people who are not necessarily classically trained.
No, most of the musicians that I'm listening to started learning guitar because they were all self-taught and things like that.
So, how do you think guitar should be taught if it were to be taught in schools?
Uh,
Schools.
It should probably be taught the way that I've learned it, because I've got the basic stuff, like I said, and then teach you all the really hard things. That way it might not be that fun, but the next thing is it's what makes you good. Because I know the technique
Okay. You think people might be scared off if, they had to start with a lot of theory and stuff? People joining a new potential guitar program.
I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to start out with theory, because the things that I learned first were just learning the basic chords and everything like that. I learned the basic chords, learning how to read music. If there was a guitar class at Central or at every high school across the United States, it should be taught. It should start out being taught that way, and it gets progressively more difficult, more in depth.
Right, so it's good to start with the basics. It's not like you're trying to learn every fingering, like, a lot of band students. There's a huge emphasis on fundamentals. Sometimes it's really liberating when you learn those first four chords and bass lines.
Yeah, and with learning, if you learn all of the really in-depth music theory and everything like that first, and you throw yourself into it, people can learn how to swim that way, but you'd be better off swimming on the free foot before going into the 12-foot.
You should take advantage of the instrument's accessibility first. Okay. You have any other thoughts?
I think guitar should just guitar and music in general should just be emphasized and more important.
Maybe, not even in high schools, you can have like
Even in elementary schools and stuff, because I was in the strings orchestra in elementary school. You know, I played one concert because I didn't want to do my music class anymore.
Did you go to middle school and was everything free for the guitar?
Not really, but I was a choir in school, and in my 8th grade year, we did Bohemian Rhapsody for our last concert, and my teacher had me solo on the stuff for that song.
That's actually really cool.
And in middle school, I got a band that really played at the tailgate of the country. So we played that and
Alright, I think that about